We're in Macomb Township, Michigan, and we are on a big run. We've been doing 2 and 3 jobs each and every day. We're going to show you guys how to dry your yards out quicker, how you're going to evacuate the water faster. Don't let water hang around. That's the key. The faster you move the water from your yard, the less chance of soil saturation. The key is speed. You have to have a pipe. You have to have a pipe that's going to move the water quickly. There's only one yard drain pipe in the world specifically built just for yard drains, and that's the high octane. High octane has 17.25 square inches of inlet per linear foot. There's nothing on the market even close. That's moving water as fast as you possibly can. We show you guys how to take the sod off nice and thick and put it aside. Take the root with it so it'll grow on your French drain system. Then we show you how to remove all the clay, all of it. Don't put any of it back in. That's a cardinal sin in yard drains. Why others claim to be the first yard drainage channel on YouTube, hack maintenance systems, cheap, and they brag about it. Our claim is a system that lasts forever, a system that'll run for decades and decades and decades to come, and best yet, it's a system that requires no maintenance. That means no maintenance fees. If you ignore the fact that somebody built you a cheap system that's made of garbage, and if you ignore the need for maintenance, it will fail. It will plug your system. So we never tie an inlet basin to high octane. And the reason why we never tie an inlet basin to high octane is we don't want to fill this pipe with garbage. Guys that do that, they want to run a jetter through your system. They want to offer this service to clean your system. So think about this. You run something through the center of the pipe, you use the inlet basin as an access point, and you're blowing the garbage where? All right, this is where it gets interesting. You're blowing the garbage through the inlets, and it's plugging the French drain stone. It doesn't go in and vacuum out the trash. What it does is it blows it into the inlets and plugs the pipe, makes the system basically what we call a yard drain system. A yard drain system is a solid pipe with basins, and I don't object to that at all. Matter of fact, we build many systems with high octane and a solid pipe ran alongside it for the inlet basins, so we separate the two. I feel this is just common sense, but unfortunately on YouTube there's so much there's just so much bad information and deceit. And we have been the whistleblowers. We started putting YouTube videos up in 2017. So we ain't been on YouTube very long, but we are a licensed building company in the north. And our systems work in the south just as well. I know Canada and the UK absolutely love our systems as well. So I want to say hi to all our subscribers in Canada and the UK. We appreciate your support and you being here. Hopefully you're giving us a big thumbs up on all these videos that we're putting together to show you how to build a system to protect your biggest investment in life, and that is your home. One of the key ingredients to having the world's best French drains, the world's best yard drains, and to outdo these drains with an early expiration date that expire because they're either made out of styrofoam or very little stone. This is for 1 yard drain that's running 80 feet. Think about that. We're going to drain somebody's yard with the world's best French drain system. How? By hauling out all the clay and replacing it with really good stone. Now, we don't use pea stone. We use cobblestone. It's 1.5 inches, and it has monster voids. You see all the voids? Look. That's what moves water, is void. The bigger the void, the more water you're going to move. So if you take this stone and you put it in a trench that you had removed all the clay, the results are unbelievable. Our client testimonials, our Google reviews, the list is long. Licensed building company for 35 years. We went ahead and stepped into an arena that only alcoholics, drug addicts, just handyman hacks on the take pretty much made their living. We were building the world's best French drains, and we were keeping it all to ourselves. Out of frustration on what was on YouTube, what I seen homeowners going through, they were trusting the one and only voice on YouTube, which is a very delusional old man, and through substance abuse has just completely gone off the rails with all types of lies. And what's sad, because he's been building a garbage system out of styrofoam and not real stone, and because he doesn't haul away the clay because he doesn't have a dump truck, he doesn't have equipment, all he has is a trencher to make a trench and then go ahead and put a little skinny styrofoam drain that does nothing. By his own admittance in his videos, he's got to go back to improve his systems because the homeowner is disappointed in how it catches water. So he has to add more inlet basins, which just fill the pipe with debris and garbage. Yes, we might be building in Michigan, but you have to realize these systems work anywhere. The North loves their systems, of course. Canada now has a channel that they can lean on. So does the UK. Anybody who sees harsh climates like our winters here in Michigan, guess what? People are building our systems all over the United States. And I'll tell you how I know. I can't keep high octane in stock, and we have to keep running more and more high octane. We're shipping it all over the US and Canada, and the results speak for themselves. The testimonials are there. The 1550, the guys are loving it. They love the Ditch Witch SK 1550. Matter of fact, it's the first machine to go out every time. If there's a job where we only need one machine, the guys are using it. But keep in mind, when you're in an area that's open like this, it doesn't hurt you. But the added length, I've had cases where it was a problem. So we'll talk about that more as we continue to do our review. Now, what's nice about the little Kubota U17 mini excavator, the tracks, you could bring them inward. which Francisco has. He made the machine very narrow. Hydraulically, the tracks kind sir, can we please have you show the people how the tracks can go wide? Beautiful. Now that is how you get inside backyards. Nice, huh? So we love our little Kubota U17. We feel that Kubota and Ditch Witch has our back. We absolutely love them, and we're staying with them. You're going to see many, many more as I show you more crew members, as we continue to help the contractors of tomorrow understand the equipment that is needed to be involved in a service that quite honestly I enjoy. I have a blast doing this. Now, I'm not gonna lie, 30 years ago when we didn't have this. We had wheelbarrows. It was a different story. It was less appealing. So that's why I stayed with design build predominantly and used our skills for drainage and incorporated that in each and every project. Every single thing that we did, every single thing that we built, we went ahead and incorporated our skills with drainage. And I'll tell you what, as a young contractor, you learn really quick about drainage. If you don't get it right, that first hard rain, that giant monster outdoor living space that you built, you're gonna get a call if there's even the littlest of puddle anywhere. We installed a lot of brick pavers. If you have just one area that's not perfect, you'll have just a little bit of water in it. You do outdoor kitchens, bars. When you walk under a pavilion and you're inside like this horseshoe bar, you can't have water get trapped in that. Everything's got to be pitched out of a horseshoe. These are the things that we've done time and time again. We've not built hundreds of structures, but we've built thousands of structures, all outside. That is what gave us this incredible background and understanding for drainage, period. We always incorporated drainage, and sure, we perfected our craft as time went on. But when YouTube got popular and I seen the growing need for good information on how to build a good French drain, a good yard drain, I finally said, you know what, I'm old enough. I don't feel there's any competition in the state of Michigan where I work. I'm no longer worried about showing everybody what it is we do and how we do it. We have job security. We have the very best trades. Yes, these guys are trades. They're skilled trades. They get paid top dollar, and I'm proud of that. We have a lot of new players that you're going to see this year in our videos. I'm anxious for that as well. We're not just going to keep it to just a set 3 or 4 guys. We're going to open it up to the company. There's a lot of employees. French Drain Man is a really big operation, and in time we're going to show you all the moving pieces. Now, you can't come in with a trencher, just make a mess of somebody's yard. Don't cut the sod off, be lazy, because you're either too hungover from the night before or you're too high to know the difference between taking care of people's property and just band-aiding a water problem and telling them, throw some grass seed down. So these guys that come in with these trenchers, what ends up happening, they'll make a 6-inch groove typically. They'll trash out the sod, yes, they're going to buzz through everything. But then they're going to put a styrofoam pipe in and have to use inlet basins just to grab any water at all. So that's called a yard drain, guys. A French drain is when you don't need inlet basins. Most of our systems are just French drains. We do combine a yard drain with a French drain by putting a yellow pipe in, solid, with the blue pipe. And then the basins only go on the yellow pipe, a solid pipe. That's the right way of incorporating basins if you live in Hawaii, Florida, Louisiana, where you're geographically in a position to where you know you're going to be catching some of those tropical storms that sometimes the rainfall is measured in feet, not inches. Young contractors know that this is a profession. Know that every house needs a French drain and or a yard drain with a roof runoff system. You have to take care of your sump pump discharge lines. Water is one of the biggest enemies to a homeowner. Matter of fact, if you ask any insurance company, that is the #1 claim is water damage. In Michigan, we have more basements than crawl spaces. When those basements flood, you lose so much, very personal, private property, like things that you can't replace, things that an insurance check is not going to help you with. You got your loved ones. You got your high school pictures. All that stuff is lost. The clock is now reset. The memories are truly just that. There's nothing to look at and reflect back on. So these are the problems. And sadly, most people don't consider bringing in a crew until after they suffered some sort of loss. It's unfortunate. And the losses aren't just in personal property. It's also in your health. The mold and mildew spores that breed in a yard with stagnant water, that is a killer. There are more people with respiratory problems due to mold and mildew. They keep going to the doctor and getting allergy shots, and they think they're allergies. Well, yeah, because half the human population, half the human race is allergic and has a reaction to mold and mildew. So you don't want your children playing in that. You don't. You don't want the family pet exposed to that. And the vet saying, I don't know what's wrong with your dog. And if you have a crawl and you have mold and mildew underneath your home, we're talking about something that you are sleeping over top of. That is not good. We see it all the time. Probably the worst case was we fixed a home that had a lot of water under it. It was a crawl in Michigan. And sadly, the daughter had to sell this home. We had to get it to where it was in a condition to where it can be sold. But her parents both passed away due to respiratory issues. And in and out of doctors, this vicious circle of chasing something that they were sleeping over top of. And the doctors were trying to pinpoint and figure out what it can be. They kept going home and they kept getting sick. And yes, the older you are, the harder it is when you're dealing with that kind of stuff. So when you're looking at a loss of a family member, that's serious stuff. So now we're going beyond your personal property. So I highly encourage a really good French drain. the way we show you guys. Look at all that clay we're taking out. That's no joke, man. We roll up and we roll up equipped, and it ain't for show. I don't have a $500,000 out in the street to put this drain in because it's not beneficial to my client. My client wanted a licensed building company, professionals, to come in here and do it right. Their neighbors hired the handyman and put in some peanut pipe, and now it no longer works. It worked very little at the beginning, but once those catch basins plug everything, and then they tried to clean it, but they just blew the dirt right into all the inlets on the pipe. I mean, the whole thing's a joke. To be able to even think that the general public can't figure this out. Again, these handymen, they have to keep telling the same lie. That's why they get on the defense. They have to keep telling the same lie. When you've been telling that lie for that many years, and it's your livelihood, and you built this maintenance route that's just cream, man. You just drive around and you put a jetter through it and you get a handful of cash. That's what we call a cash grab. But it supports their drug problem, their drinking problem, their gambling problem. These are things that I have seen in my 35 years as a contractor. Unfortunately, there's a lot of contractors out there. Being an entrepreneur is very stressful. Let's go there. Being an entrepreneur is really stressful. Any young guys out there that's considering going into business for themselves, I want you to definitely read up on the fact that divorce rates are higher, believe it or not, in self-employed. Drug abuse, alcohol abuse, it's all higher because of the stress. If you can't deal with it, if you haven't worked at it, found your own outlets as far as on the weekends, doing things with family, getting away, recharging your battery, knowing when to say no to certain people. There's so many things. Probably one of the biggest things to the young contractors that are already out there with their heads spinning and their wheels turning, 80% of your headache is 20% of your clientele. Get good at reading the people that are just problematic and just there to literally squeeze you like a lemon and not give you your balance until you're doing things for them that weren't not even in the contract. Make sure and let's go back to the drinking. I've seen contractors that they drink when they get off work and their head's in a cloud the next day. They can't even make good decisions for themselves. And yes, they end up in bad situations. So I want to also speak to the young people out there. Be serious. Don't have a pickled brain when you go to work. And just because weed is now legal in Michigan doesn't mean that the results have changed. Every time I hire a guy that is a burner, he's smoking weed at night, I could see it because he comes to work with what I call the blonde surfer disorder. Okay? So, and then they usually, obviously, within a couple of weeks, they're gone. We have to get rid of them. For their safety and ours. In Michigan, we have a lot of clay. And through our subscribers on our YouTube channel, I'm finding out you got clay in Georgia, Texas, Kentucky. The list is long. You guys are all dealing with clay as well. Now, we do have veins of sand, and I've actually seen water problems with sand yards and sand lots. And I've actually seen yards that were a good mix of topsoil, and they had issues too. So just because you're on a sand lot, definitely you still have to get those downspouts extended far from the house. Now, I recommend 25 feet from the house. That's a number that I'm comfortable with. And the reason why, it's proven And tests have shown, and I've seen it, where capillary action will pull water to the foundation of your house up to 20 feet away. So this is the clay that we're pulling out of this yard. Now, clay does have some percolation. And what I mean by that is if you have a yard drain built into your French drain, so you got two pipes, and the yard drain pipe is solid with the basins for inlet water, you could drill holes in the bottom of that basin, and days after the storm, it slowly takes in that little bit of water that hangs around in that basin. So that's something that I like to point out to people. The other thing, you guys are asking, what kind of plywood do we use? Contractors, we're using 3/4 inch treated. We found that the womanized lasts 3 times as long as non-womanized. So the guys that are trenching, they just don't have the equipment or the ability to haul away this clay. They just don't have equipment. Like this trailer that I'm in a trailer that's $25,000. These guys pull up with a van with 400,000 miles on it and brag about it. And literally that's the newest piece of equipment they have next to their 40-year-old trencher that they just tear up your grass, make a little 6-inch groove, push a little peanut pipe in, and then cover it back up with the same soil. To think that that was going to make a good drain just goes to tell you, I mean, if they're sincere about what they're doing, they truly are just half-wit inbreds. I'm sorry to say, but and don't let them sell you a drain, because it's your hard-earned money that they're going to screw up. Now, we pull out a system on every third job. We know what failure looks like. We see it each and every day. It sucks. I'm always bummed, and sometimes it's because I was too busy, and what I mean by that is we, even doing 2 and 3 jobs in a day, we can't keep up with the demand out there. Every house can use this. So sometimes people are like, well, I couldn't wait the 3 months, because there's always a 3-month waiting list for us. And it's sad because they just went ahead, instead of waiting, went with a hack that could be there right away. Why? Why can the hack be there right away? Well, because he's not very reparable. He doesn't have that much work. So if a contractor claims to be reparable and he tells you, hey, I can be here next week, I'd be really, really leery of that. You could always tell when a client's been working really hard at trying to fix a drainage problem. There's been a lot of topsoil added here. You can see the slab of topsoil on the back of the sod that we cut out. Matter of fact, I couldn't run a straight line back here. You always want to run your French drain and yard drain in the lowest point. That's how you're going to pick up all the water. So this was all humped up back here because it used to be so wet, the homeowner just added dirt. It usually just chases the water somewhere else. Never seems to work. When I was younger, I used to chase water around, and I learned the hard way. So to get more slope, I'm going to give you guys some tips. To get more slope, start a little shallower. You see what I'm saying? Start a little shallower so you can go down deeper and get more slope over the course of the run. So that's how we're getting the water up very efficiently out of that corner. Now, DIYers, when you're renting these track hose, they really are a lot of fun to run. you want a 9-inch bucket to do a big trench. See, we cut the sod 18 inches. All right, you see what we got here? That's with a 9-inch bucket. So when clay breaks out, the breakout is greater than the bucket size. See how it comes out? So we got an 18-inch cut with the sod cutter and a 9-inch bucket. What I like is we get this V shape. We have a nice V shape. So the water just finds its way into our French drain system. Now, we always keep a guy on the ground watching. What is he watching for? Maybe a utility had missed. Maybe it's a dog fence or just an irrigation line that can be clipped. DIYers do know this. If you hook an irrigation line with one of these little mini track hose, I can tell you how that ends up. You can pull that piece of sprinkler pipe out, and I'm not kidding, it'll get pulled off a fitting from 40 feet away. And good luck trying to find that. So just some pointers to the DIYer. Make sure somebody's giving you a hand, and you definitely want to look for your sprinkler lines. We're going to watch Francisco here take a scoop of clay. I'm going to show you the breakout. And I don't care if it's dry or wet. This is what you get. Clay breaks out. You don't get this perfect trench, this perfect groove. That's why Valente is down in the trench. He's cleaning the bottom so we don't have any little high spots. You see this? This came off the side of the trench on a 9-inch bucket. Look at that. Look how big the trench is on a 9-inch bucket. So everyone's always saying, what bucket do you use? Well, you know, we have, for this little machine, you know, we have several machines, but this little machine here, this is our smallest track hoe. We got a 9-inch bucket. We got a 14 and an 18. So as you probably have guessed, you put the 18 on and you're going to blow a 2-foot hole. So we use that for really monster systems with a lot of stone. Just keep cleaning what you drop on the ground. That's what's nice about plywood. Just keep scraping it back in the trench. That's another, you know, point, you know, to make. Your cleanup should be so easy by the time you get to it, because you're kind of taking care of that throughout the whole dig. Just keep cleaning off that plywood. And then before you put your fabric in, take a blower and blow all the dirt, little dirt crumbs that are on it, just right in the trench, because your fabric's going to go over top of it. And trust me, little tiny dirt balls, they're not going to affect the way your drain flows water. I'm trying to take care of all the comments that I have been unable to get to because of our hectic schedule. So we showed you guys how to get more slope by starting your trench a little shallower. Let's talk about that a little more. We'll backstep. The problem with going to the complete depth and just putting your pipe up high in the corner with like 6 inches of stone under it, honest to God, somebody on YouTube told a subscriber to do that. And I thought, that has to be the stupidest thing I ever heard. You're going to dig it out, but you're going to put your pipe up higher. Okay, so the water's going to be below the pipe in the stone for the trees and shrubs to find and screw your system up. Again, just follow the blueprint that we provide. If you want to use a pipe with the wrap we do sometimes, and I'm anxious to show you guys that because I never really get to show you how we do that. But we always wrap the stone so you can have a wrap pipe and wrap the stone. When would you do that, and why would you do that? When you have stone fines, little stone chips that are going to plug an inlet, that's when. If you're having issues getting clean stone and you can see your crushed stone's got little pieces of stone in it, you want to put high octane in that has the sock, which we do have and we do offer because we use it ourselves. Then you still want to do your burrito wrap. Now, if you were just doing that to keep the dirt out and you had clean stone, I feel it would be pointless to put a pipe with a sock on when you have clean stone. That's a different story. Like right now, you see that we have the high octane, we have the blue. This does not have the sock on it. We have really clean stone, really, 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 really nice cobblestone. Once in a while we get a load and it has broken cobble in it. Why is that? Well, they charge you by the ton. So guess what? They're not going to just dig a hole and bury that broken cobble. They're going to mix it in and sell it to us on the sly, and they're going to get the same tonnage price as, you know, the cobblestone or whatever stone it is you're buying in whatever state you're in, and the different types of stone for your region. Natural stones from the region that you live in, they're always going to be the most affordable because they're not going to be in a rail car going across, you know, state after state, you know, from semi-truck to rail car to semi-truck. The more material is handled, the more expensive it is, simply put. Now, we use that 1.5-inch cobble, and I'll tell you something. Here's what's nice. The air pockets reduce tonnage. Think about that. I want to repeat that because it's so important. If you got pea stone, which is garbage, I would not recommend pea stone. It does not have void. It does not move water. Very little water is moved with pea stone. You want to use a stone with a really big void. And because it has all those air pockets, it reduces the tonnage. So when people in the comment section say, hey, FDM, I got a stone here that's 3/4 inch and it's like half the price as the 1.5 inch, can I use it? I'm like, the cost is going to work out to be the same, guys, because you put in less tonnage with bigger stone. You got all these air voids. So keep that in mind. That's very important. The bigger the stone, the less tonnage you'll actually need when comparing it to a smaller stone that has less void and just more tonnage, more rock. Look how flat that bottom of that trench is. That's key. When you leave a big hump in the bottom of your trench, if there's a big hump in the bottom of the trench, you leave an inch high, and I've seen cases where it's 2 inches, 3 inches high, guys leave, then everything upstream, it holds water for 2-3 inches. So again, these visuals help. Just picture this not flat, humped. The water can't get past here for 3 inches, 2-3 inches, whatever it may be. What a beautiful trench. So we're 18 inches wide on a breakout with a 9-inch bucket. Pretty amazing. This clay is very elastic here in Macomb Township, Michigan. I want to say hello to all the Michigan residents that subscribe and to everyone in Macomb Township for welcoming us, since we are on about a 6-week tear doing 2 to 3 jobs a day here in Macomb. And then Rochester Hills, you are in my crosshairs. We will be seeing you guys before you know it. All right. So the sprinkler system wasn't too much of a problem here. I mean, sometimes you get into many main lines. What happens if, you know, say you have a pool yard. If you got a pool yard, your job's we're gonna charge you a few bucks more, because you're gonna have all your mains running around that pool. On a city lot, there's not a lot of real estate. So between the fence and the pool, all the mains for the sprinkler system go around the pool to get out front, the side yard, and then you're putting in what feels like miles of this tubing. So here in the north, we use this poly pipe. It's very forgiving in the frost. We love it. Very flexible. So while Valente finishes mending the sprinkler system with the assistance of Gabby, we have Valentine. He's going to start on the fabric. He'll start placing that. All right, so here's another perfect example. See the pea stone? It's all full of dirt because the dirt migrated into the stone. Plus it has very little void. We got a Home Depot pipe. It's all collapsed. It's what I always tell you guys. Everywhere we work, there's a system that we just have to abandon. I mean, it's too invasive to tear it out of the yard. There's more sprinkler repair, more sod repair. A lot of times people are like, are you going to remove the old pipe? I'm like, it's not going to hurt anything. Just leave it. It's going to cost you too much in labor. It doesn't hurt to abandon an old drainage system. It sucks that you spent money on it, because you probably seen a video before we put our videos up showing you how to build a French drain to last forever. So you got some bad advice from some chuck in a truck who's just this half-wit inbred. And yeah, unfortunately, that dude just ran YouTube, and he sadly drove a lot of homeowners to building systems with an expiration date that was extremely early. And, you know, it falls right into their program. They love maintenance. They love maintenance. Why? Because you can just drive around in a van and just blow out line and charge big bucks. That's what those guys do. So of course they got to defend their poorly made system, because they're not equipped to haul away all this clay. Look at all the clay we took out of here. Look how big that trench is. If we dropped a peanut pipe drain in that, those dudes would have to come here with a semi-load of stone like we did to put on top of their little peanut pipe, because the thing is only, I measured it, it's 7 inches in diameter on a 4.5-inch pipe outside diameter. So that shows you what little aggregate is really there for those styrofoam French drain systems. So you can see the fabric goes quite quick. You know, the guys, they know to pull it tight, they know to pin it. They're taking the fabric pins. You know, just a quick jab is usually the best way to go. And definitely, Valentine's got that figured out, for sure. Not to shortchange Valente any. He's holding his own. Hey, you're the irrigation guy, man, and that stuff's already done and mended. Awesome, man, awesome. So this is 4-ounce fabric. This is what we typically use. You know, there's some certain situations that, you know, require 8-ounce fabric. You know, sometimes if I'm doing a commercial job and the engineer spec'd it in, then it has to be. It is what it is, you know. It's got to be to plan. I love the 8-ounce fabric around really sharp rock. So if you were using a crushed stone and it was really sharp, real jagged, the 8-ounce fabric, you know, prevent it from being cut by that sharp crushed stone. Again, you want to use 4-ounce where and when you can, because it has a higher flow rating than 8-ounce fabric. You know, these are questions that we get in the comments sections time and time again. I can't, you know, it's people want to know, how do I determine what fabric is right for me? Well, we're using right now this fabric here, you know, using that Monster Trench, and this is our 5-foot fabric. So this is what we predominantly use. If we need a little strip on top because it doesn't quite meet, we cut just a little strip. But as you know, we don't overlap. We don't want any heavy overlap. A little is okay, of course, but all these holes that we have punched in this fabric to up its flow rate, to create a really great drainage fabric that has this incredible tensile strength, and yet it drains water like mad. You have to have a punched geotextile fabric, and it's got to be non-woven. I've seen these guys on YouTube take a fabric that's not a geotextile non-woven, and they'll sit there in you know, some sort of, you know, one of those, you know, rental things when you travel all over the place and you live in a campground like some of these guys do on YouTube. I see them in a rental yard with a brown piece of tarp that they pulled out of the dumpster, and they're calling it drainage fabric, man. So these are the reasons why we went ahead and, you know, I truly just said to Scott one day, you know what, we're going to put up some videos of our own. I mean, I know what we're building. I know that I've never had to go back ever to replace a system. 35 years and they're all working, baby, all of them. I might have learned along the way to perfect my craft, of course, like anything, but I had a pretty good mentor, I gotta say. I was one of the lucky ones. There was no YouTube. You had to cling on to whatever shirt tails you had and go along for the ride. And you had to have the ability to read between the chuck in the truck kind of guys that are just, you know, hacks. You know, they can teach you a $15 hack that's just a quick band-aid, but then in the middle of the night when it's pouring cats and dogs and you got water in your basement, well, okay, so that $15 hack, that's exactly what you end up with. All right, so we got the high octane. We're going to run double barrel here. I took the size of the yards, the neighboring yards, the demand that was going to be on the system, and I wanted to run double barrel. Plus, because there's been this added dirt in here, so there wasn't this really, you know, killer swell in that area. So I want more air circulating in the system. So think about it. Water's only going to be running full bore in this system less than 1% of the life of this system. But the air that circulates through the system, because of all the void we create, that helps, can keep the yard extremely dry. It dries the yard out, keeps it nice and tight for kids, pets, whatever you use your yard for. The lawn guy's not getting stuck, making a mess of it. Nothing worse than having a homeowner that, because they don't have to cut their lawn, you know, out of sight, out of mind, and then they call and they yell at the lawn guys for, you know, tearing things up. Well, hey, you know, put in a good drainage system, tighten that yard up. It'll support the weight of that equipment. And yeah, I was a young guy cutting grass once too, man. So I'm just giving a cry out to them guys. Hey, ease up on them. And I feel your pain, guys. I know what you're dealing with. So Francisco, he's connecting to the storm drain. He's getting that all hooked up. What's great about Gabby, man, she's everywhere. She's helping everybody. You know, she helped Valentine. She was helping Valente. You know, now she's over there asking Francisco, what can I do? What do you need? And it's dynamite to have somebody like that, that's eager to learn and just happy to be outside enjoying the beautiful weather that we're having today in Michigan, that's for sure. Also, we take everybody that works in our office and we bring them out in the field. You can't talk to people on the phone and know what you're talking about if you haven't been out in the trenches with us. So here's our 1550 SK ditch witch. It barely makes it through that gate. It's 4 inches wider than our SK 850 Plus and our SK 1050. 4 inches wider. So if that gate was a little tighter, you know, we would be out of luck with this machine. So, you know, again, I'm going to continue to give you the pros and cons of all the ditch witches. Stay tuned, contractors, because we will have a shootout and you will get to hear my take on what I would buy if I was just starting out today, knowing what I know about all these machines. All right, so the second pipe's going in for our double barrel. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Very cool. We're taking you guys with us today in the trenches for a full install from A to Z, just because a lot of people are in the comments section are saying, you got great videos, but we need more completes so that we can just watch it from start to finish. And we see every step of the way and we're not trying to piece it all together. And I so get that. I so understand that. So I made some time today. I'll run appointments on Sunday to keep up. That's all. No big deal. No quick video this time around. You guys are going to get all the details. So this is an 80-foot run. This was the first job of the day and we just blasted it in. I mean, just absolutely amazing how fast the ditch witch, the two ditch witches with that U17 in a yard like this, you want to talk about efficiency. I can't believe how much drain we can put in a day. You know, when we move into an area like Macomb Township, Michigan, and we just go out, we just go all out, man, because we got them lined up. We're just knocking them off 2-3 a day. It blows my mind. Now, I run that dirt out of here, and I bring in more stone for the next job. So that's also one of the things I do. I'm holding off from running dirt right now just so I can actually get some video of something that I normally don't, because I'm trucking dirt off and bringing back more stone for the next jobs. I bring the stone in the morning and we drop that in the street. Then we have the empty 20-yarder. We just load that up with this heavy wet clay. We had a pretty good rain finally, because man, we weren't getting much for rain. It was really welcome, to be honest with you. You know, the clay cuts a little better. It's a little heavier to haul though, that's for sure. We got to get through some concrete over here to get this corn tapped. It's nice to have the storm drain right in your backyard. Know this, if it's in your neighbor's, that's a drain easement. So your neighbor has to work with you. I'm just going to let everybody know out there right now, if you're watching this because you're considering hiring us to do your drain system, don't worry if the drain is not in your yard. As long as it's just on the other side of the fence, it can be behind you, on either side of you. Every once in a while, they end up in the far corner of your neighbor's yard. Well, now you have to have a town hall meeting, and you got to get your neighbor on board, because that's a little different. What's taking so long? Is this your first day on the job? Always go under the sprinkler line whenever possible. And then you want to walk your double barrel high octane system down. You want to get those pipes on the bottom. They're pulling out the slack right now. We want our pipes on the bottom. The only way your pipe's on the bottom is if you go under the sprinkler line, and then you got to make sure you have a big enough trench, and you got to walk these down. You know, when it's Boffman tile, you can stand on it. I don't know, I weigh what, 185? I'm about probably 240, and I could stand on this stuff all day long, man. It doesn't... All right. It's coming along really nice. Pulling it tight, getting it to the bottom, cutting the pipes off at the end. Because it was a double barrel, you know, we do have 20 feet left over from each roll. It's okay to use an internal coupler and carry those onto the next job. Nothing wrong with that when it's perforated pipe. Now, if it's your downspouts and you're doing a Boffman Gold roof runoff system, you're going to want to use our 200-year tape. Super stretchy, super sticky. And I gotta be honest with you, once you've worked with it, you will never keep a roll of duct tape in your house again. It's my go-to for anything that I need tape for. You'll laugh at duct tape, that's for sure. I really don't know how that stuff got its reputation to be like the tape to keep around the garage and just a house for holding stuff temporarily, because again, it pales in comparison. Super stretchy, super sticky. It'll adhere to a wet surface. We've used it in the snow. I've showed you guys videos where we're in the snow applying this tape, and we're sealing off a roof runoff system with it. No problems. I mean, it's an amazing product. So once we get the pipe flat to the ground, you know, we get both pipes in this double barrel system tight to the ground, then we can start bringing in stone. Now remember, when you put in your fabric, pull it tight, because if you leave wrinkles in the sides, you're not going to get the drainage. You know, you're going to lose your drainage. The holes that are punched in the drainage fabric that we have to up the flow rating, if you have a big wrinkle, now the holes, they're never going to line up in that wrinkle. It's impossible to line those holes up. So now you have an area that's not going to take in water. And that's what gives this fabric a bad rap. You get these half-wood inbreds that don't know how to use it properly, and that's what you end up with. Right? Isn't that right, Valente? When you get Chuck in a truck who doesn't know... I mean, the guy doesn't have the brains he was born with anymore because of his substance abuse, you know? Looking good, looking good. They're working to get it underneath the sprinkler lines. It's very important. Every once in a while, it's impossible to get it under a sprinkler line because the sprinkler line will be so deep. Well, that's understood if the sprinkler line's that deep to go over it. But most of the time, these sprinkler lines are just, you know, 6 to 8 inches deep, and you can get your high octane underneath that. All right, so all the clay got hauled off. All the clay. Oh man. We're looking good. So we had our double barrel at the bottom, and we got a third high octane on top. The customer wants this yard to dry out fast. The only way you're going to get your yard to dry out fast is if you got a lot of air circulating in your drainage system. The only way you can do that is with more high octane. Our biggest system was 9 high octanes in one trench. And when I say it dries that yard needed it. It was so bad. We were quite deep to get 9 pipes in a trench. The bigger rock is a little more work to move around. So homeowners, you know, if you're not conditioned for this and it's not something you do every day, you know, just seriously take a break. I mean, at this point, most of the work's been done. That's the good news. Once you get all that clay out of your yard, the real heavy lifting's been done. So the guys, they're standing on the pipe, and they're taking their shovels and they're holding it down. What'll happen is the stone will try to pour in and go under the pipe and push the pipe up. This is a common problem that rookies have. They're moving a mile a minute and they just want to get a job done. So, you know, their head's already at the next job and they're not fully focused on the job and the place that they're in the moment at. But that pipe will try to climb up and let the stone just push it around if you don't hold it down with shovels and stand on it. So that's what they were doing. How they put little piles along. Now they'll go ahead and rake it over it. So when you're running 2 ditch witches, that's how you can get 2 to 3 jobs done in a day. You got to have 2 of these babies running, and they got to be 2 decent ditch witches. You know, like we've had the 2 tracks, and we're pretty much done with them. They're, you know, the older units. What's nice is when you have the triangle effect. You know, the sprocket's up here. You just don't have the flat track. You can't believe how much better a machine is. Not only in ride and comfort, but it's able to lift more. The way it's engineered. Not bad for your first drain job. All right, so you guys know that we haul away all the clay, and it takes, you know, you got to bring in the stone to match it as far as the area it took up. Everyone's always asking me what we haul our plywood around because they know we have so much of it. And this is a dump trailer, so it has two 7,000-pound axles, so you got 14,000 pounds. Yeah, I literally just cannibalized a dump trailer to make it a plywood trailer because I got tired of tying up trucks. And what's cool is we'll just take that, you know, like our last job, we'll like take that to tomorrow morning's job and just park in front of the house. So just kind of help you young guys figure it out. That's what it takes. Oh man. All right, this is 80 feet of French drain done the right way. We already know how to do it the wrong way because there's some clown in Florida, Fruit Drain, I think is what he calls himself, just showing everybody how you can take a trencher and some 7-inch peanut pipe and make some sort of quality French drain. That's not a French drain. As soon as you put basins in that system with that very same pipe, it's a yard drain. It collects surface water until it's plugged, and then they have to charge you and gouge you. So what we just built, what you see us building, that's maintenance free, man. Like there's never going to be another dime spent for drainage in this yard. And this drain will last forever. Man, look at all that clay. Woo! And it's pretty wet, so yeah, the Chevy's doing pretty good in my opinion. It's not phased at all. So sometime I'll just run short loads like you see, but I will heap it up. If it was a bigger job, I wouldn't leave them with nowhere to put clay. Okay, so younger contractors and DIYers, never bring the dirt out and put it in a pile. That's another cardinal sin. If you're a guy in excavation, and if you're a weekend warrior doing your own excavation, you don't want to handle that dirt again. Every time you handle that dirt, it's work, it's labor, it's time, it's money, not to mention a pain in the ass. So that machine's tight, you see? That is really tight. It's 4 inches wider than our 1050 and our 850 plus, and it's longer. Now on this job, the length didn't affect us, but it makes it tight. You gotta have your head on a swivel going through those fence posts. So you can see how fast we're blasting this in, because I've been rolling film or video. You always can tell an old school contractor when he talks film. All right, so I've been rolling video since we pulled up. And as you can see, this crew doesn't miss a beat. I can't keep up with them, to be honest with you. So see how the fabric's pulled tight? It's pulled nice and tight. Stones in there, pipes on the bottom, fabric's pulled tight with no wrinkles. I mean, a lazy contractor just puts it in there, lets it drape all over the place, lets it buckle, lets it wrinkle. Now the drainage holes that we pay extra for don't line up. When you got a fold in a piece of fabric that has tens of thousands of drain holes, it's never going to line up when there's a wrinkle in it. like when it's buckled or when it's doubled up. You can't line up those little holes is what I'm trying to say. Alright, we're almost done with the stone. You see how Valente spun that? Ditch Witch did a 180 on the plywood. That's the beauty of plywood, guys. Normally, if you had a skid loader, you'd have to very patiently work it like this so that you didn't just skid and tear the grass all up. That Ditch Witch fits on that piece of plywood and it spins. You know, again, you know, we can't change the size of plywood. You know, standard sheets of 4x8, womanized, treated, 3/4 inch is what we use. Do know that the 850 and the 1050 they fit pretty nice. The 1550, it's right there, man. It's right on the edges. So you can see that's on plywood. See how there's some room? So you're not always just hanging on the edge. So here comes the 1550. You know, it's 4 inches wider, but it makes a heck of a difference in our world. You know, that's a 48-inch gate. It's tight. The machine's 44 inches wide, I believe. The added length bothers me more. For what we do. But I gotta be honest with you. If they can make it fit and they can get it in the yard, my guys will take that machine over all the others. They like the SK 1550. Its added length gives it added stability. Makes you feel safe. It's not as tippy. Less liability. You're not going to end up teetering into a decorative fence. Something crazy. And we've all been there. All right, so Francisco's cutting the fabric. Why is it important to cut the fabric to fit? If you just bunch this fabric all up, bunch it up and put sod on it, it ain't gonna drain. Why is it not gonna drain? Because the holes that we pay to have punched to up its flow rate and make it flow water, they're not going to line up. We have thousands and thousands of holes in this fabric. So if we just take one piece like this, and then we take the other piece like this, you can't get those holes to line up. It's impossible. So of course it's not going to flow water. That is a big mistake, and that's what gives fabric a bad rap, sadly. The fact that when contractors finally give it a try, for whatever reason they never believed in it. I like the fabric, and I'll tell you what, I bought into the fabric pretty quick when I started doing systems and replacing systems. You know, it told me everything I needed to know. I said, you got to have the fabric. Otherwise, the system's got an expiration date from the time you put it in. I truly believe that contractors dog on fabric because it costs money, not just in the material, but in the labor. See, like right now, you could just put the sod right over top of the stone and be done. But there's going to be some man hours spent putting this sod together, cutting it, and getting it to fit properly so that we keep the flow rating after having it double punched. So you can see we got our 1.5-inch round rock. You know, I still get in the comment sections, what kind of rock do you like? Why? I like round rock. The reason why I like round rock is it doesn't compact. It stays loose like a bag of marbles. It also has, typically it'll have much larger voids than a stone that's crushed in the same size as round rock. So a natural stone from anywhere, wherever you live, whatever state you're in, whatever's available. If you have to get crushed, just make sure it's, you know, screened and not full of fines. And if you get some nice 1.5-inch crushed or 2-inch crushed, and you fall in love with it and the price is right and it has fines, just use the high octane with the sleeve on it so those little stones, the little shavings, the little chips don't plug the inlets. See, the dirt washes right through high octane. I don't care how much dirt is in this stone. I don't care how dirty it is, because the first couple rains, I've seen it where it looks like mud coming out of high octane. The dirt goes right through it. It's truly an incredible drain pipe. Just love that yard drain pipe. But if you have small stone chips, you got broken cobble, you know, you got a crushed stone. Now think about this. Okay, say you bought it from a reputable source and they screened it down. That went in a rail car and went across who knows how many states, and in that process of being jarred around, you end up with all these, you know, little fine pieces from the, you know, they fragment. So again, just use the high octane with the sleeve on it. That way, you know, if you got the high octane with the sleeve or sock on it, you don't have to worry about the little stones plugging your inlets and slowing down your yard drain and hurting the performance of your yard drain. Yeah, Valente's the only one that uses the rubber mallet. These guys, they won't be caught dead using a rubber mallet, putting sod pins in, or fabric pins. Well, yeah, no, and you know, I'm just joking. It's Valente's first year with us, even though he's a trade. We're very fortunate to have him, that's for sure. He was a great addition to an amazing team. He was a great addition. Just made that team that much stronger. All right. So as Gabby connects the dots so that she can take your calls and she knows exactly all the moving parts and pieces and what it is we do, so that we have people in our office that we train properly. They're highly educated to begin with, and then they come in, they get the right training. That's on the employer. If you don't make time for your staff, don't be dogging them because they don't know something or they got something wrong. That's a lesson to all you young guys that want to shout and yell at guys when you didn't take the time to train them. You just threw them in, especially come spring when it's just like a tornado and everything's ripping. You got to be patient. You got to give people time to acclimate to their new surrounding, their new job. So this is going pretty quick. It's going really well. Sod's going down. Man, the sod cut real nice after that rain. Nice and thick. It's awesome. So this will root right to the fabric. The roots will grow right through the fabric. We want the roots to go through the punched holes in the fabric. That way the water will just it follows those roots. That's how it finds its way into the stone. It follows those roots. Man, look at that. That was, you know, we got a commercial sod cutter, so it's hard to get this from a sod cutter from one of the rental centers. Just add some sandy loam. I get that asked all the time. Can I put dirt on top of my fabric? Yes, you can. You have to grow grass on it, though. As long as you mix topsoil with sand, 50-50, we call it sandy loam, It'll be fine. Then you can put your turf grass over it. Now, will it drain its best from day one? No, it'll drain better and better and better as the roots grow through the fabric. So keep that in mind. Like this drain here, it'll be working its best. Believe it or not, it'll keep draining better and better for the next couple of years. Then we'll have a nice established root on this turf that we just cut off. All the roots will be just dangling in the stone. Water will run right through that fabric, through all those punched holes, because of the roots of the grass plant. And it's looking good. It's looking really nice. We were in a drought for a while, and I had to tell homeowners, man, you gotta just turn your sprinklers on and let it rip so this stuff doesn't die. We just cut it off. Yeah, it's looking really nice. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. So what we'll do is we'll head to the next job when we pull up the plywood here, which we're really close. We'll pull the plywood up, and then we'll take a leaf blower. We'll just fluff the lawn back up so it's not all smashed from our plywood. It'll look like we were never even here. When we get to the next job, we'll put our plywood road in, and we'll start getting set up, and then we'll take lunch. All right, young contractors, make sure to pull out all the utility flags when you clean up. You want to leave that homeowner with a nice fit and finish product. You don't want them having to deal with that. So our sod, we put the grass that the homeowner had right back in its place. People always say, what's going to happen to my sod? Are you going to replace it with new sod? I'm like, no, you're going to get your sod back. However good your sod was when we got there, that's how good it's going to be when we leave. Now in the corner where it was really, really wet, we put a little bit of grass seed down here, a little bit of bluegrass with just some annual rye, so that he gets something to hold the dirt in place until the bluegrass kicks in. The bluegrass don't germinate for 30 days. So take the blower and just, get rid of those marks that the plywood leaves. Literally just it just stands the grass right back up. Is it more work to build a plywood road and then disassemble a plywood road? I would have to argue that it's more work if you tear the yard all up. Now, here's what the guys do with the trenchers. They tell the homeowner, call your landscaper. Or they just trench and tear up the grass. They only make a 6-inch trench. Remember, unless you have, that big, bad, crazy trencher that we have for commercial jobs, we use it where there's no grass, no sprinklers. We use it for utilities. We use it for footings. But just a regular trencher is only 6-inch groove. Think about that. You're making like a 6-inch groove. That's it. So a 4-inch pipe falls in that without any problem. And it's pretty easy to push the easy drain, the styrofoam drain, that's only 7 inches. Remember, the pipe itself is 4.5 inches outside diameter, so there's not very much styrofoam aggregate. No matter how good they say it flows water, it's just too little of aggregate to work. That's why they put inlet basins. Otherwise, the water just lay there on top of the drain, and it wouldn't do nothing. So What do? They defend themselves by saying, no, you have to have surface drains. No, you don't. Surface drains, that's a yard drain. That's a whole separate system all by itself, and that should be on a separate pipe. If you want to put a yard drain in with your French drain, I endorse that. Go ahead, put your inlet basins on a solid pipe that doesn't have perforations, and it can be built right inside your French drain in the same trench. So you can burrito wrap it along with everything else. We do it, and I made videos on it. If you go to a video, how to combine a yard drain with a French drain, you're going to see a couple of them pop. They're ours, and it kind of, gives you an example of it. Although each and every job is somewhat unique, again, you'll get the concept, and you'll be able to run with it. Now remember, our French drain systems don't need no maintenance, zero maintenance. Now, I'm not putting this guy on a maintenance program. I'm not going to come here next spring and take his money saying that I got to jet it out because we put inlet basins on the French drain and it's all screwed up. It's full of dirt. Now we're going to jet it and blow the dirt right into the inlets, the very thing that, makes the pipe work. I'll tell you what, guys, that's such a failed experiment. That's one of the biggest reasons we started doing videos and putting them on YouTube, was because it just made us sick that the DIYer did not have anything good to look at except for all these hacks, just these guys that are just sadly on the take. They're on the take and they're looking for a cash grab, so they want to build a system that requires maintenance. And it has an expiration date in their own admittance. I mean, it's funny because when we first started shooting videos, they were saying, yeah, our drains last 10 years. Then we started shooting our videos saying, no, our drains last forever. Now their story changes. Those Chuck in the trucks all of a sudden start talking out of both sides of their mouth, which is something that clown does all the time. But you know what? It's entertainment. It really is. He provides us with a lot of entertainment. Without him, I think our YouTube channel would be just boring. But anyways, we got to get to the next one. All right, guys. Until the next video.